You said you're switching over to men, like you have more men approaching you.
Yeah.
How
You
come?
say the word embodiment, people kind of are like, I don't know what that means. Many people take advice from people who don't live lives that they want to have.
Thoughts are racing, spinning fast, ideas flow, but
In
never
today's
last.
episode, we're talking about nervous system regulation, the next chapter, bioenergetic awareness, cultural burnout, and the power of release.
Rambling on, no straight lines. Welcome to my busy mind.
Hello and welcome to episode 51 of Ramblings of a Busy Mind. And I'm doing it again. I said I'm not going to call out any episodes anymore because I'm so bad in remembering what number I'm at. But it's 51, I know, because I just recorded 50. And I'm very happy to have an Australian guest today, which her name is Shauna Hawkes. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Another fail of mine. I cannot remember names. And Shauna is we just talked about that. A women's next step guide. No,
Next chapter mentor.
next chapter. That's it.
Yeah.
That's me. So tell us about that. What does that entail?
It's helping women move from a place of maybe stuckness or uncertainty or second guessing themselves into a chapter of their life that's filled with that confidence and that ability to trust themselves and move into the next chapter with ease and effortlessness rather than feeling like it's force or shoulds or have tos.
Hmm. And you were just telling me that you shifted or you had applied with a different name. And I told you that I just shifted my name around too. So what made you change that from the embodiment mentor to next chapter? Because I'm
Well,
correct.
yeah. I mean, if I'm really honest, the work that I do or that I offer is actually about embodiment, but many people don't actually know what embodiment means, or they have a concept, or it feels like a lofty concept. And embodiment is just the ability to drop out of the head and into the body and trust that inner sense of knowing and allow the body's wisdom and the own inner teacher to lead and guide, our way through life. And we all have that. But when you say the word embodiment, people kind of are like, I don't know what that means. So essentially, that's what it means. But it feels like when I say the next chapter, it's like we're moving from a state of maybe stress and overwhelm or the having to the shoulds, the having to do things into this sense of what does my how is my body leading me? What does my intuition tell me? Where do I feel called to go? And it becomes a little bit more fluid rather than rigid or a list of to-dos. And I feel like many women specifically can easily get stuck in that repetitive pattern of this is what I should do, or these are the things I need to do, rather than what actually feels good to me and where is my soul or where is my heart or where is my gut taking me, and listening to that. And that's the embodiment piece, which I feel like is what we get to anyways. It's just sort of a little bit of a shift in the name. Yeah.
Well, basically, it's the same with me because I shifted from the burnout recovery to self-trust and awareness, which is the same thing. I teach people to come back to their body and to listen to their intuition and to their five senses and all the energetic information we take in with our five senses that then are presented as intuition or emotion even.
Mm.
Um, and most don't even know that it's there. And when you say burnout, people only resonate with burnout when they're through, when they're
Hmm.
already diagnosed, but not before. And that's where I think I don't want to do recovery. I want to do prevention.
Love that.
And yeah, and it's so interesting because it's like last year was almost like running through the year with blinders on. You were on the right path, you did all the right things, but there were pieces missing. And then all of a sudden this year, shifting into the age of Aquarius, not that I'm really paying, no, gotta say, these days I pay a lot of attention because I see the changes in me when
Mhm.
things like that happen, like the shift into a different age or Schumann frequency upheaval or whatever. But having that, it's almost like from one day to the next, the switch flipped and clarity comes in, understanding comes in, and the awareness that it's not fitting what you're doing. You're
Absolutely.
doing the right thing, but the language doesn't fit. And then all of
Yeah.
a sudden you shift that over, and everything that was strenuous before and overwhelming and stressful becomes ease and flow, as you said.
Yeah.
So really
Agreed.
cool.
Yeah. I've
So,
also never heard it described that way, like the taking in through the five senses, because that I've just never heard it described that way, and I do
well,
love that.
that comes from a workshop that a friend of mine and I created. It's called Blup, Raising Bioenergetic Awareness.
Mm,
And basically, both of us were studying for therapeutic touch to become teachers, but we realized there's a step before therapeutic touch as an energy
mm,
modality. Um, and that is the awareness. How do I perceive the information?
mm,
And when you start playing with that concept and offering different energetic information to people, and online was like, or Zoom was one of the best platforms for that because nobody questions distance, which was so
mm,
weird. When we started, like, I find the person in the next room. It's like, oh, there's no person, right?
mm,
But if you do that online, people can actually play with it and then can learn this is my cue. So if I offer you red, for instance, I might send you a red color or a sunset or whatever, and you might get a red apple.
yes.
So the common denominator is you get the color red. It
Right.
doesn't matter which picture I send. And when you learn to understand your cues, then you can also understand, which is really important for empath, is it mine or not? Do I react to something that's inert? Or is it something that comes from outside? And if
Hmm.
it's from the outside, I can decide, do I react on it or not?
Mm,
But having the distinction on that has been for our students a great way of living easier and more in flow again, less
mm,
overwhelmed, less stress, because I know exactly, is it mine or not? Do I need to react to it or can I just let it go?
yeah.
I acknowledge it and then it's gone.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why
Beautiful.
the awareness through the five senses is a big part of playing with your intuition
Mm,
and learning what your intuition is actually telling you.
mm.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. Mm,
It's become a university course, which is really cool. Um, our university, Michelle finished her PhD. I'm working on my PhD right now. Akamai took that course and made it a university class that can be taken if you do the energy healing or any kind of complementary integrative health.
yeah.
You can take raising bioenergetic awareness and learn about your instinct.
Love that.
So you are a yoga teacher, right? And
Mhm.
what else do you do?
Oh, I dabble.
Who doesn't?
Yes, I've taught yoga for almost 18 years now. And I come from a background in social work, which is always what has sort of motivated me is the deep sort of inner work that what sits behind the surface. And so yoga was always a gateway to have access to a deeper layer of understanding of oneself and how we respond versus react in the world. I work as a mentor with women one-on-one, but that's actually expanded into working with men now, which has been beautiful because it feels like it's come a bit full circle. I did a lot of EFT in my early days, and that was with both men and women, and then I sort of started to go down the women pathway with the mentorship. But now it seems I'm expanding to work with men a lot more. I'm also a Gene Keys guide, so I work with the Gene Keys and do a lot of one-on-one sessions with people just to help them understand their profile and the way they interact in the world. And I run yoga and well, currently a yoga and Gene Key retreat next month. But I've
Oh,
run retreats for about 13 years or so. So yeah, dabbling have a couple of kids and, coach soccer, do the things, just do some of those things as well. So yeah, yeah,
So you moved from the States to Australia.
yeah,
What made you go from one immigrant to the other?
yes, yes.
What
Um,
made you go to Australia? Why did you choose Australia?
well, I was on holiday with my mother and we were staying in Brisbane. And we went to Byron Bay. I don't know if you've heard of Byron Bay.
No.
Like most people who know about Australia, it's kind of like the place that everyone knows about. It's really beautiful. It's up north, and yeah, I went there for New Year's Eve, and I met my husband on the streets of Byron Bay on New Year's Eve, and he came up to me from behind and he said, "Have you tried the fairy floss?" And I didn't know what fairy floss was because in the US we say cotton candy. So I kind of just looked at him and he said like and pointed to the van and said fairy floss. So I was like, oh, cotton candy in my American accent. And he was like, yeah. And we just started chatting and we hit it off straight away and now what almost 20 years later, here we are. So I moved. It was almost immediately I was in that place in my time in my life where I was ready for change. And
Mhm.
so the opportunity presented itself and it worked out divinely. So yeah.
Really cool. Yeah, it's interesting again where paths is so where our journey takes us to become what we are. Like as I said,
Mhm.
Canada is home for me. Um, After my first stint in Canada, like living here, working here, Germany wasn't home anymore.
Mm,
And I don't think that I would have had the chance to heal the way, not that it might have been, I don't think I would have gotten out of the burnout at all. Let's say it this way. Because the
mm,
chances and the things that happened here in Canada were quite different for me. Not to
mm,
say, and that's the thing, Canada is not for everybody, because we are all different. But for me, it was the best decision I could ever make.
mm.
And yeah, like there's no better place than home, and home is here.
Yeah, yeah. I feel the same way. Yeah, definitely. We get drawn to certain places for reasons, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you get somewhere. I like my house is the only house I ever looked at, and it's the only house I ever bought. So I walked in and I said to my mom, and that's my house. And
Oh.
then there were, as always, there were blocks and things coming up that it looked like I couldn't get it. And then in the end, I had some help, and my former boss stepped up and helped. And
Mm,
I ended up with my house, the only house I ever bought, and
beautiful.
it was meant to be. And
Mm,
before I would have said, well, yeah, that's woo woo and whatever. But having dabbled in that field for so long, I know now there's certain things that, and it's again resonance. You come to a place and you feel home, then it's home. You come to a place that makes you smile, that's relaxing. So that's striking stress off you. That's comfortable. And people, places, people, and things that make you cringe, avoid.
yes, yes, I like that.
So when you work with women one on one, um, is it more movement? Is it more talk? What do you do? The EFT probably in there a little bit.
Yeah, it depends on where the woman is and what she's coming, like where she's feeling limited or feeling stuck. So I would say I use a lot of different tools, not necessarily movement. A lot of the women that come through my program, I've actually met through yoga. That's how we have that initial contact, is they don't actually know I do other line of work, and then they might come to a workshop, and that's how we connect. So they have some awareness of their body through the yoga practice, but EFT. I work with NLP, and recently, what's been really, really powerful is rapid rewire method I've been using, which gets
Heard about
very,
that.
yeah, it's very quick results. It's dealing with the four layers of awareness.
Mhm.
So thought, body sensation, image, and emotion. So I've found with techniques that I use, sometimes one will specialize in something like kinesthetic. So I work a lot in kinesthetic, but that's solely based on the body awareness and what are the sensations. And if someone has not really gotten in touch with their body, it's like they need another access point. And so that's what I found really helpful with that method, is being able to deal with those 4 layers of awareness. But the gene keys. I always use the gene keys. I start with a reading with everyone who comes in, just so that I can know what are the things that they are naturally designed to be successful and be gifted at, and what are the things that they're going to actually be really challenged by. And so when these things come up, it's like we have another lens to look at it through, rather than just my opinion or what I'm
Mm,
experiencing. So yeah, so I wouldn't say that there's any one thing that I do, and I would say I'm quite intuitive and have this ability to read what's happening. And I don't come up with a recipe and say, this is the recipe. I just say, tell me what you want to achieve and we'll get you
mm,
there. And
mm,
whatever modality needs to be used and whatever direction we go, in the end, we'll get there. But don't worry about the process, because the process isn't important. We'll get to where you want to be.
mm.
Yeah.
I find that's a good point. We have like I have had so many people on the show, and we had so many different modalities and different things that people do. And this is my shout out. So if you like and listen, please share and follow and subscribe, because there is a lot of information coming through from different people. And that's why I have no real format on my on this podcast, because I find when you do a podcast with certain questions, there's a lot of information that's being missed,
Mm,
because sometimes information just comes in the free flow and it's not coming when you have fixed information or fixed questions, because it doesn't allow for that.
mhm,
That being said, it's interesting to learn how flexible people become and multidimensional. It's not just one modality, it's multiple, and you pull the best. I'm the same way. I work with sound, frequency, vibration. And I learned of myself that it's more vibrational that I work these days than sound. And then all of a sudden you find something that's not working with that person that you're working with. So you flip over to the other thing. So that mine would be therapeutic touch or bioenergetic wellness tools.
mhm,
But overall, with us having more modalities than one, we are able to adapt so much more to the person we're working with,
mhm.
which is a gift.
I think it's 100% necessary, because you can't, no one is a recipe. No one is a one size fits all. And if there is an inability to be able to move with exactly where someone is, then I don't think we as practitioners can be present with that. If we're
No.
if we're if we're like, this is the modality, this, you've got to fit into that. And that's the experience I've had also as a I guess as a student, or as a learner, or as I'm a healer working with someone. The more that they can draw on the different modalities and really work, then it's like it flows. It just flows a lot better, and whatever needs to be received gets to be received in the way that it's meant to be received.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I love what you're saying, because I do believe it's really important.
Another thing that doesn't work for me, and I find if I focus on that in my work, is labels,
Yes.
because again, they're restricting in
Yeah.
what I can do and how I can do. But if I get away, um, to this day, I'm actually working not with yes and no if I use the body as a pendulum or a muscle monitoring.
Hmm.
Because I find when you use yes and no, positive and negative, they're already in their head, they're already out of the body. Bless you. But the point is that I don't want people in their head. I want them in their body. I want them out of their head as much as possible, because our head is not really helpful for the most part. And it starts with how does it feel? What do you sense, right? And I know that when we started Therapeutic Touch, we had the issue that everybody would say, what do you feel? And most people don't, or a lot of people don't even feel when they do energy work. They see, they smell, they hear, they taste. And that's what brought raising bioenergetic awareness forward, because again, it's a five senses thing, because your body, your mind doesn't always translate with the sense that people ask for.
Mm.
once we shifted to what comes to mind, people opened up that there's more than one sense and could step away from what do you feel
Mm.
and could perceive and recognize that their information comes in differently.
Yeah.
Like, and that's, I think that was one of the best things that we could ever do. Getting away from limits, getting away from, and language can be so limiting in all you do. Right. So
Yeah.
you were saying, let's say it this way. While you were talking, what popped up in my mind is something that we try to create awareness in our association of Canadian Association of Bioenergetic Wellness was the role of grounding for the facilitator, for the practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
And it was controversial in the beginning because most go like, yeah, no, I don't need to be grounded as the facilitator.
Mm.
Because they never done it before, because no modality taught them as the facility. We usually are taught that we ground our person that we're working with, our client, the healing partner, whatever you want to call it. But we're usually not taught as the facilitator what's the benefit of us being grounded.
Mm.
And do you do any grounding before you do work?
I think it's an interesting, I've never heard of that word used, like the
Mhm.
word grounding before, but I am always doing work on myself, and I would say that I center myself. I'm not, I think I'm a naturally grounded person. My makeup is the tendency to actually be so grounded that I can be heavy and over serious. So for me, it's more about being centered and being in alignment with myself. And I think if you tend to have a lot of energy and be full of vitality, grounding might be supportive. For someone like me, if I get too grounded, I will literally go down, 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 down. And so for me, it's like, how can I be centered so that I still can feel that sense of, yeah, I've got my feet on my ground on the ground, but I'm not heady. I'm spacious and I'm open. And the way that I do that is I mean, I have a lot of practitioners, and this is very individual to this year. You know, you're talking about the shift, out of Aquarius, and I'm a Taurus, and I think I've spent a lot of the last 7 years have been, a big upheaval for my sign specifically. I don't really know the ins and outs. I'm just kind of, telling you a little bit about it, but I can feel that this year it's all about self-care for me, and it's about, seeing the kinesiologist, the chiropractor, the healer, getting lomi massages on a regular basis. And I'm having these things happening every 3 to 4 weeks regularly since January, because that to me is really me being in my body. If we talk about embodiment, I need to be so fully in my body so that I can then be what I'm teaching. I'm not looking to tell someone what to do. I'm looking to be an example of this is what it is and I'm here. So when we talk about grounding, I would maybe just say for me it's keeping center, which is having the support of others around me. And I just want to add another point to that, because my friend said, like, oh, well, aren't you sort of just relying on, plant medicine, or aren't you relying on these modalities or these people to help, basically to help you? Like, and I said to her, I spent my whole life in a traumatic environment holding myself up and holding up everyone around me. It's my time in life to let other people actually hold the space for me, and I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to throw my hands and go, I don't need that scaffolding right now. I would love people to nurture me and hold me. And then as a result of that, I can then extend that outward. So that's a big shift. I think in the past, I would have said, yeah, I'm grounded, but grounded to the point that like my feet are so deep in the earth that I'm inflexible. You know what I mean? Like I'm so
Yeah,
stuck.
I
So
hear
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Grounding for me and centering for me. So centering, and that comes from therapeutic touch.
yeah.
We learned centering and grounding in one action,
Mm,
which we then took apart. Michelle and I took it apart because actually it's two action. The centering is bringing you back together into like bring all the 1,000 pieces that are out there because you're so frazzled and running and blah, 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 blah into yourself, which can be the in-breath. Just breathing into your center will bring you to the present, will make you present, will make you focused. And grounding then for me is I direct the out breath through my feet. So I say, breathe into your belly, breathe out of your feet. It's the connection to earth to have the energy flowing and not stagnating and building up in me and then creating the flow to be in a better place to be able to work and to be more open for any information that comes in and to be more present, to be with the person and not completely within me. Because again, that's the other part. When you are torn apart and have the 1,000 pieces and the monkey mind and whatever, how can you focus on that person that's sitting in front of you? How can you be really aware for them instead of trying to bring yourself together?
Yeah.
I agree with you on the part of having others work on you, because I find often as we do so much work with others, we tend to have blinders to our own issues, especially if we're working in a similar field than where we come from. So for me, anything that's mental health challenge, mine is the burnout. So as soon as I get into stress and overwhelm, I tend to not see what's right in front of me. That's where I value somebody else that takes over and says, okay, how about what's going on? Tell me. And sometimes it's an energy healer, or it might be somebody who does manual massage or whatever. I love my osteopath because she goes in and she says, oh, what is here and what is there and what's going on? What did you do? And it just brings me to myself, but with the help of others. While someone in my field say, oh, you have all the tools. Why don't you do the work on yourself? Specifically because I can't see it.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a great point in the self-care. I just posted in social media that self-care can be overwhelming and stressful if you do too much.
Yeah.
And if you do all the stuff that like the journaling and whatever, and then you look at the clock and you go like, oh, now I have to cook, basically. So sometimes it's better just to have the cup of coffee and sit on the deck for 5 minutes. Or, as you posted, go surfing or the hot tub.
Yeah.
And again, the hot tub, I agree. Surfing here, no, it's too cold.
It's not for everyone.
Well, not especially not when you live on the Atlantic coast. That's a little bit cold.
That's it.
So you said you're switching over to men, like you have more men approaching you.
Yeah.
How come?
Because I work with their wives and they see big changes and the wives go to me, my husband's asking all these questions. Do you have a male version of you? And I said, look, I actually don't, but I'm open to working with them, and that's just how it's evolved. So now it seems like the women come to me and then the men see the difference and the women are trying to explain it. And then it's just easier for me just to go straight to the men and yeah, create that change.
I find, and I might be wrong with that, but I find oftentimes for the men, it's hard. Women have the innate knowing and the feeling that something needs to be, and men are not allowed to feel. So they have a hard time of going with their gut feeling and say, yes, they have to have like the proof. They have to see the change that happens instead of just going, okay, it feels right. Is that a wrong assumption or?
I think it's a wrong assumption. Yeah. And I guess all I can go is based on my experience. And, I have a pretty amazing husband, I think, I mean, I am partial, right? But he's very practical, but he's also quite intuitive as well. And I think just with men, it's very straightforward. You just say, I mean, they have the capacity to feel and to sense things, but they just don't do it usually because they let the mind override it. So it's just reminding them that the ability to sense things is wonderful and it can add to the logic. It's not a taking away. It's not a separation. And I think that sometimes can happen is it's like, oh, women are feeling and men are logic, but it's like every human has both sides. We all have it all. And it's like we don't need to favor one side. I mean, I find most women are in their masculine a lot more than they're in their feminine, but the
Yeah,
the men are almost too much in their masculine and they
yeah,
need some of
yeah,
that softness and that.
yeah.
And I think if someone comes to me, for example, I really truly believe that we draw in who we're meant to be working with or who are meant or whatever is meant to happen, then the ones who are coming to me are willing to take on what I'm saying and give it a go at least, even if it's not familiar to them. So I think that in itself is brave because to work with someone and go, I'm going to open myself up to something I don't know how to do because I've seen the results in my wife. I'm like, well, good on you. That in itself is saying you're open to it. So,
I
yeah.
don't mean that men are not able. That's not the right
Yes, yes,
way.
yeah.
What I mean is they're not allowed by society, the way they are brought
Mm,
up, they're not allowed to tie into their emotion as much as
mm,
women are the typical stereotypical roles that we grew up in. And I mean,
mm.
I'm probably a little bit older than you.
You
Um,
know,
it's
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 funny
not
though.
it's
Sorry to interrupt you, but this is what's fascinating about, when you grow up somewhere and then you live somewhere else. And when I lived in the States, right, I never saw men pushing around prams. And when I came to Australia, I was in shock at seeing more men pushing buggies, prams on the beaches during the day at 10 a.m. than women.
Mhm,
And I was like, this is a whole nother this is a whole nother avenue. So I think culturally it depends on where you are
mhm.
because I feel Australian men there is that level of like acceptance of more of that softness, whereas in the States I didn't see that. That wasn't my experience with men. So it's interesting hearing you talk because I go, yeah, maybe where you're at, there's some differences, and it is in the culture.
Yeah, and mine is like Germany. I know in my family it's very common that the men don't live their emotions, or it takes a long time, or you have got to be drunk to be able to live your emotions.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's like, or it might be the men in my family that have that issue. I don't know, but I see it also here in Nova Scotia or in Cape Breton. A lot of the men are just bound on that role of that strong person that cannot
Mm,
be vulnerable, cannot
mm,
have the emotion of I need help. I don't know where I'm at, and how can I please? And I cannot go out and show tears. That's making me so sad because
mm,
if you're able to show your emotions, if you're able to live your emotions, you're not stuck with them. They can come out. And
mm,
that's why, honestly, I like swearing because it gets the emotion out of the system and you got rid of it and you say the F word and it's
yeah.
done instead of holding on to that and then it builds up and it builds up and then you got this big explosion someday that completely destroys you and devastates you. Instead of getting rid of bits and pieces here and there, I'll just throw it out and it's done.
Mm,
And that's what I find in the men. A lot of them are not, it's not that they're not capable, but they don't allow themselves or they don't think they are allowed
mhm,
to live that part of themselves. And I wish
mm,
they would because it's nothing better than being vulnerable and living your emotions and feeling them and working them out.
mm. Agree. I agree
Yeah.
wholeheartedly, especially with the swearing. Ask anyone who comes to my yoga class.
Well, I come from Bavaria, we swear. So, but the part too is learn to swear correctly. Learn to
Mm,
swear not at people, but just to get again the emotion out of the system. And then you're not aggressive. You're not building
mm,
up. You're not holding on to. It's just out of the system and you can go on and you can smile again.
yeah. I feel it's a passion. It's a passion thing when I use it. It's showing my passion, or the energy behind something. Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. So tip. A tip for somebody who is in stress and overwhelm, who doesn't know where to go to, what would you do? What would you tell them? If you meet somebody at a party today that says, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. I would tell them to find someone in their life who lives a life that they admire or that they want.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, go and ask them some questions. Ask them where to start. Ask
Mm-hmm.
them who supported them. I would say start there, because I truly believe that many people take advice from people who don't live lives that they want to have, or they take advice from family when they don't have good relationships and that person is not living that life. And so I feel that if they actually started to talk to people who have a life that is reflective of maybe something they'd want to experience, then at least that person could give them something or a place to start. And I'd probably start there. And I'd probably just say, breathe a little bit deeper,
Mm-hmm.
slow down, and like take a deep breath in, take a big breath out, just start there, here and now, if we're right here, probably those couple things. Yeah, feel big.
You remind me that, what did my stepfather always say? My grandmother goes to the dentist to talk about the car and to the mechanic to talk about the teeth.
Ah,
That's
yes.
basically right.
That's 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, it's a great point. And again, if you don't know what you want, then just ask questions and look around and find things that you like.
Yeah.
Because if we are stuck, like sometimes I find a lot of times when I just roll it in my head, it's not coming true, whatever I want. It's not moving forward. It's not getting anywhere because I'm constantly thinking about it, but I'm not really acting on it. But
Mm,
if I speak it out aloud, if I talk to people about what I want to do, there's a lot of clarity that comes to me when I talk to people about the things that are going through my head.
mm,
Because in conversation, I have to explain myself. I have to think about what I want. I don't assume they know. So that
yes.
brings clarity to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like a co-regulation.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's support. That's the other part. It's
That's it.
communication and
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having that
Yeah.
talk with me. And again, if people like and listen and see value in that, we're going to show all your information on the bottom. And if this conversation was beneficial for someone, please like, subscribe, and share, especially share it to people that might benefit of it, because I find the more stories we tell, the easier it becomes for people to find what they need. And
Mm.
this is what I do with the podcast. So, and if somebody has a story to share, please reach out to me. I'd love to hear your story. And otherwise, Shauna, thank you so much for coming online early in the morning.
Thank you for having me.
You're gonna start your day now, and I'm gonna close mine down. And I hope to see you soon. And good luck with the journey with the men. Bring more men into the fold because they need it so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Lovely to meet you.
Thoughts are racing, spinning fast. Ideas flow, but never last. Waves of wonder, thoughts untamed. Nothing ever stays the same. Rambling on, no straight lines. Welcome to my busy mind. Ideas fade, all the shine.